shadow in the government's game. Pawn as a child with no face and no name. They stole my past to leave me cold and alone. Always searching for a place I could call home. I was lost in the dark, just a tool in the hand, till she pulled me close and helped me understand. Now the fire inside is starting to rise. I can see the truth through 1,000 lies. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. In the dead of the night, I can hear the call. All the ghosts of my past scratching through the wall. My eyes change colors, the power has grown. With Crowley the hound, I'm never alone. I used to be hollow, a man made of glass, but now I am reclaiming every year that has passed. Every memory is falling right back into place. I know every name and I remember every face. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's a magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I ain't running no more, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Gonna settle that debt in the depth of the night. They tried to break me, they tried to erase, but they can't hide the blood from the scars on my face. The veil is thin and the engine is hot. I'm taking back everything that they thought I forgot. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I remember it all now. Every single face, I'm calling for you in the dead of the night.
Hello everybody, it's me, Henry, again. This here's number 15. Things were seeming to be okay as far as the project's going. I was still having problems trying to adjust to life outside the project, not knowing when I was going to be taken and what I was going to be used for. But I tried to adjust, and I guess because I was younger, I could adjust a little better. Well, come today, and they was wanting to do some checks on me, and they decided it was going to put me through a battery of tests, and they wanted to make sure everything inside of me was functioning, I guess, the way they thought it should be, make sure there wasn't no kind of changes. They put a lot of time and effort, a lot of money. So they was going to check out their asset. So they was going to hook me up to different test machines and test the brain waves and heartbeat and all that good stuff. Really not sure why, but just following orders. So they hooked me up to everything and had me kind of in a laid back position. Turned all the lights off except for just a small light over top of this desk looking thing that had a projector on it, and they'd show me different things just to see what kind of reaction I'd have. They'd show me things like a baby crying, and they'd look at the machines, jot down notes. Then they'd have people arguing and fighting, and they'd jot down some more notes. Then they would do like a split screen and have two things at one time going, and I was trying to focus on both. And the way I'm created, I can't focus on two things at one time. You give me 15 tasks, and I'll start at the beginning and perform that task. When I'm done, I'll move on to number 2, 3, and so on until I get to the end. But even today, trying to perform 2 tasks, it frustrates the shit out of me. It makes me go into a real semi-pissed off mood. And the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. So I try to remove myself from that and just focus on one thing at a time. That's the way I was created, and that's the way I was taught. I can't do it no other way. Some people may understand, and others may not, because there's people like my wife that can multitask, and I just can't do it. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, when I try to do like her and some of these other people, multitask, where I'm trying to do something and carry a conversation at the same time, it's like my whole head is a big lightning cloud, and instead of my thoughts going to that one thing to work on, my brain starts shooting like electricity everywhere, and pretty much my brain just shuts down. It just says, fuck it. You can't do it. So just, your brain just starts shooting different directions. It's kind of like a bunch of lightning coming out of one big black cloud. That's the best way I can explain it to you. And it just frustrates the shit out of me. If somebody keeps pushing me on that issue, like they used to try to do in school, shit goes haywire real quick. And if it don't stop, they don't stop pushing, it can go from me saying something really foul to it could go physical. I try not to let it go that far because it's hard telling what all could happen, and I don't want to be there when it does happen. So a lot of times, I'll say a few nasty choice words. First, I'll start out by, hey, knock it off. I can't do this. My brain is misfiring different directions. Let me finish this task, and I'll listen to what you guys say, and I'll move on to the second task. Well, when it don't work, I'll throw in some colorful phrases, and it ain't too pretty. They push on, and it's going to get physical and mental. It ain't something that I care to see. When I get really, really aggravated, things start to go crazy. I've just learned not to let it go that far. Sometimes I'll just get aggravated, frustrated, and I'll just walk away from the situation, because it can cause some serious problems. They may not recover from it, so rather than me do something stupid, I just walk away off by myself. I'm not young like that anymore. I tend to think about things before I do it. I'm not a trick monkey. I won't perform tricks for nobody anymore. I'm my own person now. I'm pretty much set in my ways, and I do anything my wife asks, and that's just the way it is. But sometimes, I just gotta walk away and go out and sniff the flowers, clear my head. So that's how that is. But anyway, they hooked me up to these machines, and they're showing me they put me in all these different situations through visual stimulants. And some of them would aggravate me. Some of them would really piss me off. Some of them were rather soothing, and the whole time they were jotting stuff down. And when the 3-4 hour test was over with, I was trying to ask to see how I did, to see how I scored on the test. They said, well, there ain't no real right or wrong. We just want to see how you react to see if maybe we need to tweak something. Not sure what the hell they meant by tweak something. It ain't like I got a screw in my head that they can set the carburetor on. But who knows, maybe they was going to reprogram me. I don't know. But in any case, they said that I was okay. I assume whatever it was, I must have passed, or it was okay with them. So they decided to take me topside and let me walk around a little bit and just kind of wind down and recalibrate, so to speak. Well, the thing about this is, this whole time, I never grew, I never aged. I stayed the same. Everybody around me aged and changed. I didn't. So, it's one of those things I never did understand, and I guess it ain't meant for me to understand. Always liked older people. Had a hard time with people my age, because to me, I don't mean this to be a smart ass, but to me, they was all busy playing with their toy dolls and tractors and stuff. I was craving knowledge. So if somebody was over working on something, I'd go over there and watch and learn. I could usually either duplicate what they was doing or sometimes even master what they was doing. But I always liked the older people. I could learn from them, and I related to them a lot more easy. I could talk to them about pigs and cattle and horses and whatnot, and they seemed to understand. The kids my age didn't understand all that shit, and I guess really didn't give a rat's ass about it. But it was stuff that meant something to me, so I picked up on it. And I carried conversation like I was a grown person instead of like one of those kids in second grade. I guess that's where the no-nonsense shit comes in. And because I was raised in a different time than most of these young kids, nowadays, they sit around and play on their damn video games and their phones, and the parents are screaming, hollering at them. And the whole time that kid playing that video game don't hear a damn thing they say. Because I was raised up in a different way, in a different time, in a different place. And it frustrates the shit out of me when all this is happening and that kid's sitting there playing that game, and the whole time the parents are screaming, hollering at him, trying to get up and go get him to go do something. They don't hear a damn thing they say. Well, in any case, enough about that rant. I learned all kinds of things. A lot of things I probably shouldn't have been learning in those projects, but that's what they expected of me. And if you didn't learn, mistakes could happen. So I had to really focus on what they were saying, or I could fuck up a whole project. That wasn't feasible. They get pretty upset, and I'd pay dearly for it, with a beating, or sometimes even worse. So I learned if I could make my captors happy, life was okay. If not, it could get dark real quick and painful. So I tried to learn everything they told me and do everything exactly like they told me, and don't worry about what's going on in the world, because you'll be back in the same place you left when they was done, providing everything went okay. I didn't realize it until years later. There could be some steep consequences for me not paying attention. Like, they could lose you in hyperspace because you didn't pay attention. I didn't realize that every time I left and went to the projects, it was a roll of the dice. They would send me places, and I wasn't allowed to tell nobody else about it, but I'd have to report back to these people. And of course, once they got this object that they wanted so bad, one of the objects, they could actually watch me, and I had no clue. But before that, they was using this tracking device, and they'd monitor all different types of stuff, make sure I was okay. They could tell if I was alive or not. Well, the more I was in those projects, the more I asked questions, because I wanted to know what I was doing this for, and how does that machine work, what's it do. I learned a lot of stuff. Of course, I didn't think it'd be helping me today, but I guess it shaped who I am. I try to be like everybody else, but I'm really not. But it don't stop me from trying. Like all you out there that's listening now, I always just wanted a normal life. Of course, I didn't know what normal was, but whatever it was, I wanted it. You know, I wanted to eventually, hopefully, grow up if I made it through, have a wife, a family, pets, garden, maybe even fruit trees. Well, I got all that now, thanks to hard work and staying one step ahead of the devil, so to speak, even though I don't believe in hell or heaven. But if I did, earth would have been hell to me. Seen lots of shit in my time. Some of it I regret, some of it I don't. But in any case, I'm still here and still learning. They say that the day you stop learning is the day you start pushing daisies. Well, I ain't ready to push daisies yet. There's still a few more things I'd like to do and experience. That's what I intend on doing. Every day I learn something new. Even if it's something minute that I wouldn't amount to a hill of beans, I still try to learn at least one new thing a day. And I'm constantly doing something. Hell, sometimes I even like to sit and watch the storm clouds roll in and watch the animals react, see if they react like I do. I learned a lot of things over the years just by watching nature, like the squirrels. When there's a rain coming, or snow, Them squirrels will sit there on the fork of that tree, and they put that tail up over their head like an umbrella. They be just crunching the hell out of those nuts. Well, 'cause I've watched them so long, I've learned that when you see them doing that, there's either rain coming in or snow. Not that it matters about anything, but it's just something that I've learned, I've picked up on. Just like if you see horses out in a lot, or out in the pasture, and they're bucking and jumping and carrying on, that means there's a change of weather coming in. You see a bunch of old cows that's out in the middle of the pasture, and you start seeing them hugging a fence near a clump of trees, that means there's some kind of bad weather coming. So it's just little things that probably don't matter. It does to me. But anyway, that's a little bit about me, how I function and work. Some of the smallest things just tickle the shit out of me. It amazes me. A lot of that stuff you all probably take for granted, but I don't. You know, I moved to a place and there wasn't a lot of life. And I studied all these years and about trees, plants, and the animals, and how you draw animals into a yard, whether it be birds, bees, whatever, rabbits. And I've taken all that knowledge that I stored up, and I've turned my yard into an oasis for all these different types of little creatures to come in and thrive. I'm always telling my wife that I come to a desolate part of land and breathe life into it. Now, we got more birds now out here than you can shake a stick at. Different colors, different sizes, different breeds. But they're all welcomed here. And I get a fascination just watching them birds out there singing. Love to listen to them, watch them, feed them. Hell, I even got some to eat with my chickens. That actually live in the chicken house. And they leave and go out and search for worms and shit. Have babies. I've even saved a couple of birds. Like there was one that ran into my house door and knocked him little self silly as hell. I thought it killed him. So I go out the front door and pick him up. My wife goes, "You ain't gonna kill him, are you?" I was like, "No. I don't want the outside cat to get him or any other cat that might be coming up here to grab some kibble." I took him out there and put him on top of a stump till maybe he'd get his little senses and stop seeing stars long enough to fly away. And well, there's a little like a sparrow looking thing and had kind of a reddish looking head. I picked him up, put him on the stump. First hour, he walked around and kind of wobbled around the stump, shaking his head, trying to get his bearings. Finally, he flew off, and now every time I go outside, he's out there in the front yard in one of the little trees or one of the bushes and just singing a hell of a tune. Found one out there in my chicken house that something happened to him, and he fell into the little water pail I keep for the chickens, and I fished him out and put him in one of the chicken nesters that they wasn't using with straw. I kept an eye on him, and eventually he got better and flew out of there. I still see him now and then. He waits for me to come out there and let chickens out, and he flies out and sits on the fence and watches me. I've got a lot more patience with animals than I do people. But in any case, that's what makes me tick. In case anybody's wondering, maybe you don't wonder, but just in case you do, it's the little things. All these little things make a part of me. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of an insight about me. I like to watch flowers and my trees. And you let somebody, piss me off, come out and step on my flowers or mess with one of my trees or my animals. You'll piss me off real quick like. So, anyway, there's something about me that's kind of personal. It ain't much of anything, but it's part of me. So anyway, I learned all this, studied all this, because in the projects, like parents, nowadays, they're busy working and they miss a lot of stuff. Well, when all these other kids sitting around sucking their thumbs and drawing and coloring books and all that, I didn't get very much time for that kind of stuff. I'd get drawn away into these projects. So I've got more time now, a lot more time on my hands, and this is the way I spend my time. Just enjoying a daily life that I try to keep to a pretty slow pace. I don't get in no big hurry no more. I don't have to be in a hurry. I got more time to sniff the flowers and watch the birds, watch the skies, and just enjoy being alive. I never know from one day to the next I'm going to step out the door and some fool's going to pop a asshole in my forehead. So I just learned to take every little bit of time I got and enjoy it. Kind of fascinate me about things I've missed all my life, and now I get to enjoy that kind of thing. Yeah, I have to live kind of a sheltered life, so to speak. I don't leave my property except go to town and get groceries, and a lot of times just have them delivered. But once a month we usually take off and go get stuff. The rest of the time I'm right here in my castle, just enjoying my little slice of life. Not have to worry about getting up and got to be doing this project at this time and worried about losing my life in the next. It's probably a life that most people couldn't handle, but it's pretty much the only life I know. I enjoy it. I got everything I need here. I don't need nothing else. I ain't into the big money game. I just like to try to learn something new every day. And just try to live a peaceful, normal life. But these people, my handlers, never give up. Hell, sometimes they sit across the road. It don't make a shitting difference to them. They pay these people real good money, I guess, just to watch my dumb ass. Try to draw me off the land so they can either one, put me in a hole, or two, put me back in the projects. That ain't gonna happen. I don't leave the property. They sit there and watch, and people go by and take pictures of me out there in the yard, and I've even had a few people take pop shots. I don't much appreciate it. But, like I told my wife, don't let them get you to chase them. That's what they want. We stand our ground here. If I'm going to die, when I die, not if, when, it's going to be right here. Hopefully I'm doing something I enjoy doing. Whatever that case may be, whether it's picking flowers or picking berries, or just messing with my dog, or just sitting there on the bench watching the day go by. See, I was never allotted all that. Be quite honest with you. I don't think they expected me to live this long. Well, even my mom, from the time I was little bitty, has always kept a life insurance policy on me, hoping she would collect. Well, it's probably aggravated the hell out of her because she's been paying in on this damn thing all these years and ain't been able to collect shit on it. Well, boo-hoo on that. I don't plan on kicking the bucket and making somebody rich like that. She never give a rat's ass about me, so why should I give a rat's ass about making her rich real quick? I don't think so. I take care of my own, and that's just it. Everything outside of my circle is secondary. Whatever's in my immediate circle, which is my wife, my dog, my animals, plants, trees, flowers, most anything else, that's outside of my circle. That's secondary. And it's like this. Never will be rich. Really don't give a shit if I am or not. It don't mean shit to me. I got what I want. Living pretty much the life I want. That's all I ever dreamed about was what I got right now. I never thought it was achievable. And the only thing I could think of during these projects was one thing. How to outsmart these bastards and get away from them. I finally succeeded years down the line. They can't handle it. To me, that's funny as hell. To know that they never intended for me to be away from the projects. They figured they created me, they owned me. Well, and they shouldn't have given me the intelligence and the will to always be trying to figure out a way to get away from them bastards. But they didn't. They kept feeding me knowledge and doing different things, and every day I grew stronger. Sometimes there was a few setbacks. But for the most part, I studied them as much as they were studying me. I got away from them. I figure I've done my part. I've earned the right to be myself and enjoy what I could. They've always been there like Mr. Murphy, and they take that away from me, and they took this away from me, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. I can, and I do. I've just learned ways around them. I've learned to stay one step ahead of them. There's one rule about an opponent. Never underestimate them, and you know everything about them before you go do battle with them. If you don't, that'll be your first and probably your last mistake. I studied them as much as they studied me. And here I sit, and wherever they are, that's where they are. They never give up, so every day I gotta stay on my toes. I watch every vehicle goes by, every walker goes by. I notice every move they make. And they know that I'm watching them as they're watching me. We're kind of like at a Mexican standoff. They ain't gonna step a foot on the property to grab me, but what they do is like lure you off of the property and grab you that way. Well, that ain't gonna happen. I spent too many times worried and wondered if and when I was ever going to be able to go home, and would I ever have a life like everybody else. It's about as close as I can come to it. And I'm satisfied. Quite satisfied. I'm living my dreams now. Not theirs. Not theirs. I've had to cut myself away from a lot of people. People I thought were friends. People I thought was family. In order to keep my sanity. Because most of these people don't give a rat's ass about nobody. Especially the people that I got rid of. Shed them like you do a snake skin. I just stay away from them. I don't need that kind of trouble in my life. Don't need them bringing me down. If I want to be brought down, I would sit around and constantly think about the shit that they'd done to me. But I choose not to. I just choose to ignore it. Stay away from them. Makes me a hell of a lot happier than dealing with other people's drama and bullshit. That's exactly what it is. You know, even my own mom left me in a chair, head all swelled up. Doctors told me that if I bumped my head, I could die right on the spot. My mom left me in a chair to die, and that's just the way it was. So, do I give a rat's ass about jumping in a vehicle and going up there to see her? No. She left me a long time ago. Some people just gotta learn that when you have people like that in your life, sometimes you just have to brush them off. Leave them alone. Stay away from them. Some people say that'd be hard. Me? I don't have much feelings. I do feel love. My wife showed me what real love is. My parents sure as hell didn't. As far as crying at funerals, no. I cried when my dog died, to myself. Because he was the best friend. I got another dog, and he's a damn good friend too. I'd cry if he passed away. But as far as my relation, not hardly. They don't mean near as much to me as my pets and animals, my fur babies. They didn't give a shit about me, so I quit giving a shit about them. That's sometimes what you gotta do. Projects made me hard like that. I'd still like to know what all they put in that damn milkshake that created me, because whatever it was a hell of a milkshake. Learned a lot of things in there, and learned a lot of things about myself. Some of it good, some of it bad. They did heighten my awareness and heighten my gifts or curses, whatever the hell you want to call them. I still periodically night walk. But for whatever reason, I do it in my own yard. That's not sleepwalking. I periodically hear those frequencies that they're sending out, want me to leave the yard and go with them, and about to. Done with that life. But I'm glad on one thing, they did heighten all this and charge me up. Made my gifts a lot stronger. They've come in handy. Especially with the life I've led. Or I should say, have led. There's times when I get frustrated about something I don't understand, and like if I'm working on a project, no matter what it is, and I don't got the answer, I'll come in, catch a small cat nap, catch the frequency that explains it to me, and I go out there and fix whatever the problem is. I still do all this stuff, but I do it for me. Not for some ungrateful sumbitch wearing a lab coat that don't care for them. I'm just another test subject, an asset. I've learned to keep up on these skills because that's what keeps me alive. That's probably saved my life more time than any weapon. But I will tell you this. I won't go into great detail about it, but I will tell you this. Eventually in the projects, they got to where they would tuck things away. And if a mission needed these particular instruments, they would present them to me. Because it was stuff that one of the people inside of me was using years ago. Stay alive. I won't talk too much about that, but I just thought that was something interesting that you might find kind of neat. It was to keep me alive. They would present those with me before they'd send me someplace so I could defend myself. Because they sure now wasn't going to defend me. Maybe someday, maybe on my deathbed, I might say what that is. But every time I come back from a certain project, they'd make sure they took those away from me and put them away. Somewhere where I couldn't get my hands on them, where I didn't know where they were. But they always kept them, and they've even tried to use that as a bargaining tool. Hey, if you'll come back, you can take this stuff home with you. Wasn't a good enough bargaining tool. You have to up the ante. I don't intend on going back. Hey. Anyway, I still got these 3 people inside of me, and we all do just well. We all get along pretty good. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye on how to deal with something, but for the most part, we're all in the same canoe anyway. Might as well paddle on the same side. Keep you from turning circles. I still have dreams now and then. Sometimes I wake up, cold sweat. Then I realize that the nightmare is over with. I come back down and go back to sleep. I'd be full of shit if I told you that those things from the past didn't still aggravate and wake me up at nighttime, because it does. Especially when those frequencies start in, that kind of jolt you awake. Have to be careful going out into an electrical storm. Try to stay away from the windows, because it seems like I'm a lightning magnet. But I periodically like to take the grandkids and take them out on a small ghost hunt. Just something entertaining. And doing this here podcast, whatever you want to call it, kind of relieves me of some of that bottled up tension bullshit. Kind of like a therapy. I have fun doing it. Besides that, it gets the word out there about what could and what has happened. I think people should know about because it's been kept in the dark too long. Been lots of bullshit put out there and not enough truth. I decided to put the truth out there when I decided to start doing this, and my wife was more than glad to help me to get some of this stuff out there so everybody could understand that the world ain't what you think it is. Well, I've worked with aliens one time or another on several occasions. Went and got artifacts that held meaning and a lot of power. And the funny thing is, they have these aliens. They've had them for years. Why in the hell they waited until they created me to go back and gather all this shit up that them little green-eyed bastards created and handed out to humanity to fuck the world up? Only to take them away from a race of humans that were ignorant and handed over to people that think they're smart and they just as goddamn ignorant and mean. Kind of like a thief stealing from a thief. So I sometimes wondered, why in the hell did you guys create me? You have the alien, make that little son of a bitch go back and get it. But oh no, we got you. They create it, they give it away, you go retrieve it. Which I thought was about as dumb as wiping your ass first and then taking a shit and pulling your drawers up. Makes about as much sense. But that's their logic. I guess they feared that I was their lab rat, and when they was done, they would just gas me. Well, little did they know this rat was paying attention. But it always frustrated me because, they would send me back to get this shit, and every time I went, I was rolling the dice between life and death. Kind of makes no sense, but I guess it wasn't made for me to make sense of. I wasn't getting paid. But I always told them, I said, you ought to send one of you guys back with me. Well, they wasn't going to do that because they figured that they couldn't be lost, that they was too smart. Send a flunky, which was me. They never ever stuck their neck on a chopping block, so every chance I got, I'd put the screws to them. Every chance. Just to show them that some way, somehow, I was going to defy them. And just to let them know that one of these days, I'm going to get the upper hand. Well, I'll be damned. I get the upper hand, get away from them, and here I am living a quiet life. Still staying one step ahead and just out of reach. Now somebody would probably think, well, why in the hell didn't you go back and get even? I used to think like that. That'd be a lot of waste of energy. Look at all the things I've done and learned out away from the projects. Look at what I got now, as opposed to what I didn't have before. Had I wasted all that energy to go fuck with them, injure them, put them out of commission permanently, I'd have wasted all that time and not have nothing I have right now. Don't seem worth it to me. But now you come after me, that's a different story. You may sit across the road and watch me, or sit on the road down the road from me and watch me. Don't come to my castle. That's where I draw the line. So they stay where they are, and I stay where I am. And they still try to lure. I ain't biting. I ain't buying nothing they got to sell. I've learned my lesson, and here's where I'll stay. I just want this information out so everybody knows that there probably is more of me, more creation like me out there. I know they didn't stop. They've probably been making newer and better models, because that's the way these people operate. So just be careful out there and always keep an eye open. I just fear I've earned the right to have my share of the pie. So that's where we sit on that, and I've learned a lot of things in that project. And I don't know why the governments of the world don't come out and just say, hey, we have umpteen different varieties of aliens, and we've been working with them, and that's just the way it is. But our government's like treating us like, mushrooms. They feed us shit and keep us in the dark. And I think that's a bunch of horse shit too, but they figure it differently, and us idiots keep voting them in office. Go figure. These people creating all this different stuff. I can remember in, I think it was 2001, my dad passed away, and I was outside on the porch smoking a cigarette. I noticed this funny looking thing that I'd never seen before in my life. And I was trying to explain to everybody what I seen out there around the flowers. They're like, you're crazy as hell. I said, I did see it. It's always out there around those forget-me-nots. Well, shit, nowadays, they're all over the place. It looks like a butterfly, kind of. It has a long bill, and it flies like a hummingbird. I can't remember the name of it, but I know what it is when I see it. See, they're always creating shit. Right under people's nose. Just like you ever board a plane, like, with the airline, like American or whatever, you keep track how many people get on that plane. And when you get on there, you keep track and make sure there's nobody in that plane. You get in, take your seats. When you land wherever your destination is, keep track how many people gets off. There's always a few more or a few less than what was on that plane when it took off. Do the figure on that one. Do the math on it. Something screwy going on. I won't tell you what it is. Just like here's another one. Every year, around about the same amount of people die as there is people born. Just watch around. Did you ever notice they ain't making bigger and more cemeteries? Where's them people going? Check it out. I'll tell you a better one than that. You get a day off, you keep an eye on the sky. You'll see the moon during the daytime up in the sky. It's white looking. You keep track of that moon and watch it as the day goes by. The sun will go down and it'll follow the sun. An hour or so later, you'll see that moon come right back up on the other side. Come up, bright as can be. Now what's that tell you? We've always had two moons. Contrary to what NASA and all these scientists will tell you. This is the kind of bullshit that's going on that people have no clue about unless you have the time to watch. They even sent me one time in this chair at Montauk, sent me up past the ice caps. It's hard to believe up there at Antarctica that once you get there, that's why nobody's allowed there. They won't even let you look in there with Google Earth. There's a patch up there, and it's subtropical. You wouldn't believe the creatures that's in there that used to roam the earth that are there. That's no joke. There's also a race of aliens up there that's behind that polar cap. I've been a little bit everywhere. Some places I don't even think had a name. And some of these creatures that they say is mythical, like the unicorn and the little people, the brownies, the leprechauns, I've been into those realms too, via this chair. You wouldn't believe some of the things I've seen in my lifetime. That had I not went to Montauk and been in that chair, I'd be like all the rest of you. I'd be like, oh, that's just fairy tale shit. No, it ain't. And just a heads up, with this damn CERN that they've been using for the past few years, they're trying to bring all these realms level. Can you imagine that? Be out there in your yard one day, having a barbecue, maybe drinking a beer, and all of a sudden a fucking woolly mammoth crashes through your fence right into your fucking swimming pool? You believe that shit? That's what they're aiming for. Or you'd be sitting there stretched out in a lawn chair and the leprechaun would come up beside you, asking if you got any more O'Douls. I don't know what the hell these idiots are thinking. But whatever it is, they're the ones that should be in the frickin' nut house. They're more crazier than the people in the nut huts. They're just right down devious bastards. And they're crazy as hell. Some of those people that I worked with up there, some of them were autistic, and yet they had brains. Like Preston Nichols. He may have been smart in his field. That son of a bitch wasn't playing with a full deck. About 3/4 of his cards were gone. But then again, that seems to be the way of the world. 90% of those people were so goddamn brain dead in the head and monsters that they couldn't have tied their shoes if they was told to. Look at Einstein. Supposed to have been one of the smartest men in the world, and the son of a bitch couldn't even tie his own tie or his own goddamn shoes. Seemed kind of strange to me. No common sense. And yet there's people like that working behind the curtain, they never seem to get in trouble. Go figure. All the pain and agony them bastards caused. And did a single one get in trouble? Oh, hell no. You know, Preston Nichols, Duncan Cameron, Al Bielek. None of them got in trouble. They should have been considered war criminals. All the pain and suffering them bastards caused everybody. But instead, a lot of people look at them and think they're heroes. Personally, I think they're fucking zeros. They created a lot of pain and agony, and they didn't care. They got by with it. Well, I can't tend to them, and really don't want to waste my time. But at least if I can let the people out there know what some of these people really were, that's about as close as I want to get to it. And even like the doctors that created me, the doctors and scientists, some of these people had offices in and around these small communities, and nobody had a frickin' clue. And nobody would have had a clue had it not been for me to come out and tell about what happened to me. So that's why I'm doing this. Just to let you people know some of the things that goes on right up under your nose and you have no clue. Well, I think I've kept you long enough and give you enough to think about, so I'll see you in the next one. Y'all take care. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Maybe leave me a comment. I'll talk to you in the next one if you're still there. Thank you. This is Henry. Good night.